Guys, it's fun for us to highlight ridiculous arguments here in this live stream together and just laugh together. Just be like, look at conspiracy theories. Look at what the hell? YouTube is acting with giving us a lot of errors. Look at, I don't know, Islamic arguments, Christian arguments, Hindu arguments. They're some of the juiciest, ridiculous arguments out there are the Hindu ones. The most, yes. It seems Hindu one seems more ridiculous just because we're not used to them. So this just seems so fresh when it comes to the, like the Islamic and the Christian steaming pile of crap. They're just like dry piles of crap, right? But the Hindu ones are like, you can see that they're steaming because they're fresh for us because we're not really used to them. So we look at them, it's just so much funnier. And it's fun. We have fun here doing that. But it's also like easy. It's easy. Okay? And you guys, I feel like some of you guys have become lazy. When intellectually we become lazy if we just look at these Islamic, Christians, Hindu, far-right conspiracy theories, wokeism. It's just too easy, right? So sometimes here we have to just just get some exercise here. Just like we need to look at some intellectual heavyweights, right? And try to like flex a little bit of intellectual muscle here. I know you guys do not have as much fun with that, and it would be a lot easier for me to just like show ridiculous stuff to you guys, and those stuff are more popular. We just all laugh together. And we get more views, and more people will find this channel. I know, but come on, guys. I need to give you guys sometimes something to think about, right? And I mean, come on, when it comes to intellectual heavyweights, right? Cosmic Skeptic, right? Come on. Like, if I want to look smart among you guys, I just have to point out people that are dumber than me. And you guys like, wow, Armin, wow. Like, you're right. They're so wrong and you're so right. And just, it's so easy to look. But this is risky for me. This is risky. You see how risky it is? Because, Cosmic Skeptic is like way more intelligent than me, I think. Probably. Yes, definitely. Okay. So I come here and I want to challenge his views, right? In front of you guys. And it's risky. It's risky because I'm doing this live. We're doing this live among all of you. Like, it's not edited. It's not like me looking at, like, writing a script, coming like, okay, he said this. Oh, let me check with my friend if this would be a better response. No, I'm watching it with you guys. I'm gonna make mistakes live with you guys against somebody that has so many well thought out arguments, right? I'm exposing myself to you guys. Any wrong take I have is just going to be there for the whole world to see against somebody that is this intelligent, right? And I'm challenging such a hot topic, something that he's so passionate about, right? And again, this video that when he posted it just recently has nothing to do with veganism, but to me has everything to do with veganism. Okay? This video is titled, "Sometimes We Can Let a Child Drown." And you might think, okay, this is something about moral philosophy. Being French, I ate a faux. What is this? Being French, I ate a. What is that? What does that mean? Idris, I'm curious. You have to tell me. I feel bad. Why do you feel bad? Okay. Is this an anti-vegan joke? Just drink some whiskey, man. Guys, what do you got? You guys are not paying attention. You guys are not like, you guys are just making, guys, This is serious, okay? You guys in the live chat are just like, and from the angle of him arguing against minimalism. Yes, okay, guys, he's talking about minimalism here. But when I watched this video, I thought about he has recently, look at the shirt he's wearing, right? A steak is a mistake, okay? So he is very active. He's one of the most serious, I think he's the most intelligent. He provides the most intelligent pro-vegan arguments, not on YouTube, but period. Like if you want, like nobody else does it the way he does it, okay? And given how good he is at philosophy and identifying logical fallacies, me going out and saying he's wrong, it's risky business. It's risky business, okay? But this video, he made a video that for a while, most of his videos were about veganism. I mean, most of his focus at least. And now he had a video that is not about veganism. It's just about morality, okay? But I saw it and I was like, this video, his arguments in this video, guys, I hope you're paying attention, okay? Guys, pay attention here. This is very important. We're doing moral philosophy here, okay? We're doing utilitarianism. I need you guys to pay attention here today, okay? I saw this video and I said, this video is exactly my points against veganism. So this is Alex destroying Alex, okay? This is Cosmic Skeptic in this video arguing against veganism. As a vegan, he's arguing against veganism in this video, and I will show you how, and you could tell me if I'm wrong. And this is the points that I brought up in this channel against veganism is now explained by Alex himself in much better ways than I ever could have. So we're just going to use his own words against them, okay? Wait. Yes. Okay, let me see. Yes, Ali, you noticed it as well, didn't you? I wonder, how did he not notice it? Did he not notice it? Or did he notice? He must have noticed it. But if he did notice it, why didn't he address it? This video by Alex is the best video made against veganism. Okay, Idris is saying it's liver or goose. Okay. Guys. I really need you guys to keep, this is like, because we're doing moral philosophy and this is risky business here. I need you guys to help me stay focused, okay? Qasim is saying, don't be afraid, you can do it. Left hook, then uppercut. Okay. Guys, okay, this is funny and all, but we need to pay attention here, okay? In fact, I might want to do 2 taps. I might want to bring his previous video. and compare it. Oh, wow. No, he actually has had other videos. Why haven't I seen his other videos recently? Oh, yeah, I've seen this one. Okay. Maybe we should watch one of his
cognitive.
Yeah, did we review this? Yes, we already reviewed this video. Okay, so he has done a lot of other videos.
Dissonance.
Let's watch this one and then go to this one. This is Alex over here. Cosmic Skeptic here will be refuted by Cosmic Skeptic over here. Okay, so this is Cosmic Skeptic versus Cosmic Skeptic. Okay. Okay, focus, guys. Yes, focus. Thank you, Qasim. Okay.
It's the state of having.
Hold on. Let's just watch this just for an intro. We'll go over this and then we'll go to another video.
Cognitive dissonance is the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as related to behavioral decisions and attitude change. If you hold 2 beliefs that contradict each other, you're suffering from CD. If you hold a belief that something is wrong and yet justify doing it, or something just like it, despite simultaneously knowing that you shouldn't, you're suffering from CD. If you think that it's, I don't know, wrong for any person under any circumstance.
I know we reviewed this already, but we need it for context before we go to that other video.
To so much as hit a dog that they're looking after, and yet simultaneously justify literally gassing pigs to death in a chamber of carbon dioxide so that you can eat a sandwich that you won't remember eating, you're suffering from CD. In all my 4 years or so...
So listen to this, okay?
...circumstance to so much as hit a dog that they're looking after...
Okay, so here. If you're suffering from
CD. If you think that it's, I don't know, wrong for any person under any circumstance to so much as hit a dog...
It's wrong for anybody to hit a dog that you're looking after.
...that they're looking after, and yet simultaneously...
If you think it's wrong for anybody to as much as hit a dog that you're looking after, and yet at the same time, because I don't want to do a tongue twister, justify literally gassing pigs...
...justify literally gassing pigs to death in a chamber of carbon dioxide...
...in a chamber of carbon dioxide,
because... ...so that you can eat a sandwich that you won't remember eating.
It's just a sandwich, just for taste bud. It's just for the sake of sandwich. You're literally promoting genocide just so that you could have some pleasure on your taste buds. Okay, that's what you're doing. Okay, so this is the argument here. Okay, we're creating the set, and we're gonna respond to this later. Okay, yeah, I will respond to this. This is practice live stream. I'm gonna eventually. I mean, I already have a discussion with him, but this is practice for eventually when I invite him. Okay.
You're suffering from CD. In all my 4 years or so of professionally tackling religious fanatics in the public sphere, I have genuinely never encountered more dogma, more ignorance, more evil, and indeed more cognitive dissonance than I have coming from people who, despite knowing the unimaginable horrors necessary to produce it, just can't give up cheese or just can't give up bacon.
It's just like so much horror, so much misery involved with making cheese and bacon, but you can't give it up. You can't give it up even if you know how much misery is caused in creating cheese and bacon, okay? Because just cheese and bacon are just apparently so important to you that you allow so much suffering of animals, okay?
Well, if that's you, someone who sees veganism as some kind of fringe woke phenomenon or as just a funny and mockable philosophical position to be treated as nothing more than a laughingstock for...
I don't think that, by the way. I don't think that, okay? Just because I disagree with veganism, I take vegans' positions very seriously. In fact, most anti-vegan positions are moronic, okay?
When you get bored, it's time to snap out of it, okay? We can either have a grown-up conversation
I
about
agree with
this
this.
Or not. But if you're unwilling, forgive me for not taking you ethically seriously. Okay, you can giggle all you like about bacon, though, as if it's still 2009. But while you do, consider that since this video began, 174,869 chickens, 4,150 pigs, 9 donkeys, 14 horses, and 2,772,879 wild fish have all been slaughtered, so that people like you can satiate your addiction to the taste of their flesh and continue to point your greased-up finger at the vegans for being too extreme.
Okay, we're not going to watch the rest of this video. This is the line that I was looking for, okay? This is the line that I was looking for, and we're going to get a response to it from Cosmic Skeptic in his other video, okay? So right here, one more time, listen to this, okay? This is...
It's still 2009.
It starts from
but
here.
While you do...
Okay, so this is important, okay? This is what we're going to have a response to by Alex himself. Himself is going to respond to this, okay? While you consider that since this video began, what happened?
Consider that
so
since
we get some
this
numbers.
Video began, 174,869 chickens, 4,150 pigs, 9 donkeys, 14 horses, and 2,772,879 wild fish have all been slaughtered, so that people like you can satiate your addiction to the taste of the...
Only for the sake of satiating our addiction, my addiction as a meat eater, the whole point apparently is for me to satiate my addiction to just taste all this slaughter, all this misery of all these animals. Me as a meat eater, I am condoning that. I am funding the slaughter of animals, of conscious living being that could suffer and feel pain and misery. I am condoning that. I am actively funding that because they just taste, because their dead flesh tastes so good. Okay? Do I deny that? I do not deny that. Is he accurate in describing me this way? He is accurate. This is accurate. I'm not going to dance around it. Okay? Guys, Soha, don't do this. This is not an argument. This is not an argument. Okay, Soha. And again, music guy, don't do this as well. What happens in the future is not the point here. We're trying to do utilitarianism based on what situation is right now as we speak. Okay, if this is not going to be an issue when we start growing meat, that we're going to use this as an guys. We're using, even when we finally grow meat, we could go back to today and see, was it wrong or was it not wrong when we did it. Okay, we're using this as an exercise to do cost-benefit analysis, to learn how to be proper utilitarians. Okay, that's the point of all of this. You guys are missing the point. Do I have a CD if I care about rainforest but not about planted forest cut for timber? No, if you are consistent with it, then your calculations on what harm cost benefit analysis might be wrong, but you don't have CD. Might be. I'm not saying it is wrong or not. Okay. No, it's not. No, they're not. He's correct. When it comes to slaughter and addiction, it's completely right. What do you mean is he's using a bad words for? No, they are being slaughtered. It's correct. And it is because of my addiction to the taste of their dead flesh. Yes, it's true. This is an accurate description. Other meat eaters deny this. Then they ignore it. He's describing somebody like me, and he's being accurate. Let's not dance around it, okay? That's not what the problem I have with this argument is. Not that he's being. We'll see. Okay, let's move. Let's continue. Oh my God, these are not the. You guys are missing the point in the live chat. Hold on. Let's continue.
Their flesh and continue to point your greased up finger at the vegans for being too extreme.
Yeah. So we are the extreme ones because we are like, yes, misery, slaughterhouses, so extreme, animals are being treated so poorly, but they taste so good, and I'm addicted to it, and I'm going to continue funding it. Okay, so the vegans are not the extremists. If this is correct, we are the extremists. Okay, so what is my defense? What is my defense to all of this? Why do I continue eating meat, and especially eggs? A lot of eggs. Guys, I'm going through 36 eggs a day. 36 eggs a day. That's what I go through. Okay. Just the white part though. Okay. So what's my response to this? This is my response. Okay. Let's watch this. Okay. And guys, if you can't tell the relationship that this video about veganism, cognitive dissonance has about veganism, right? With this video, I'm going to point it out to you. I know some of you are not going to get it, so don't worry. This video says, should you sell all your positions? ? Okay. So this is another more ethical calculation, doing some cost benefit when it comes to misery and, utility versus, it's all utility. So negative utility is still utility. Okay. So, but this was not meant to be about veganism, but it is about veganism in my opinion. We'll see. I'll show you how. Hold on. I shouldn't do F11. I should just do full screen. That's better. Yeah. Wow. Are you guys familiar with minimalism? Do you understand what's happening here? Okay. This is Alex deciding he needs to sell his watch. I had this discussion with Alex. I don't know if 2 years ago, I think, in Oxford. I told him, I brought this up to him. I'm like, why wouldn't you sell your watch? Okay. If you want to be ethically consistent, right, and not be responsible for any harm, okay, why wouldn't you sell your watch? Guys, let me give you some background, okay? I actually recorded this my discussion with Alex, and I one day I will release it. Okay, I told him, okay, because it seems like for him the most important thing is to be ethically consistent. Okay, and let me ask you this question. Okay, do you guys own anything right now? Is Luke here by any chance? Do you guys own anything here right now that you don't need? Do you own anything at this moment that you don't need, that you could live without? That you paid for with your money because you wanted it, but you didn't need it? Anyone in the live chat? Give me some examples of things that you own that you don't it's not necessary for you to have. Okay? The example I usually give is, heating or air conditioner, right? Conditioner. You could, if you live in, you could change the temperature so that you're a little bit more uncomfortable. Yes, there we go. Yes. A lot of people are saying yes. Yes, Armin. My PS4. Yeah, you guys, any of you have an Xbox or PS4 or anything like that? A lot of useless stuff. My gaming console, extra mouse. Okay, so yes, most stuff. Okay, there you go. You guys, a lot of, a Nintendo Switch. So you realize that all of you are pretty much my electric guitar and Nintendo Switch. There you go. Okay. Do you guys know that all of you, look at all that stuff that you have and think about how much it costs. Think about how much it costs, okay? And think about the fact that within seconds, hold on. You could have gone here and used the same money. You just saved the children.net, and you could have just clicked on donate, and you would have been, with the same money, you would have been responsible for the reduction of a significant amount of misery. But you all decided that you needed an Xbox or a PS4, and there's so many things around me that I don't necessarily need to have, right? I paid for these plants just because I like to have plants around me. I like to have some green stuff around me. I could have not spent that money, and I could have donated here, right? You could have saved a life. There's a child right now dead, because you decided that a PS4 or an Xbox was more important. Don't deny, there's a child right now dead because you thought that your gaming console was more important. Okay? So, and it's so easy, guys. It's so easy. And if you think that this is equivalent, so this is morally, I know legally this is not the same thing, okay? This is morally, and guys, I know you're gonna get triggered by this, okay? So I'm not gonna use your example. I'm just gonna use my example, right? Some of these books that I have, I've already read them on Audible. I just wanted to have a print version of it just because I wanted to have a physical copy of them in my hand. I didn't need them. I already had an Audible version on it, and I already had read them. This book, look at this. Steven Pinker, Enlightenment Now. I've already read this on Audible. I just wanted to have a physical copy of it in my bookshelf. So I bought the physical copy. Also this one. I finished this on Audible, but I wanted to have a physical copy, so I paid for it. Completely unnecessary. These plants, completely unnecessary. Okay? So I don't want you to guys get triggered, so I'm going to use myself as an example. These plants, me buying these plants, is morally equivalent, and you could argue with me against this, and you would be wrong. Is morally equivalent to bringing a child like this one, just like this one, and telling me that, Armin, you need to sacrifice, they give me a weapon or whatever, and they're like, the only way to have plants in your background is that if you actively with your own hands sacrifice this child, that's the only way you're going to get these plants. And me be like, I need some plants in my background. Bring me the child. Bring it to me. Okay? Okay, Darko is saying Armin killing babies every day. Technically, technically, yes. Technically, by having the temperature of this room exactly as what I like it to be, instead of making it a few degrees different and being a little bit uncomfortable, that electricity that I'm not saving money on, okay, could have been spent on saving babies around the world. I'm technically doing that. So this is the conversation I had with Alex in Oxford. I was like, then why don't you sell everything that you don't need if you want to be ethically consistent with everything? Do you not have things that you don't need? And he said yes. And I said, why don't if you want to, because all your arguments that you have for veganism, I could make the same arguments for all the stuff that other stuff that you have, right? And all the other ways that you're ignoring misery around the world. And he agreed. And he said that he actually looked into minimalism. And at that point, he didn't really have an answer. Okay? Apparently, he went and thought about it. And now he has an answer. Okay? Let's see what his answer is. Okay? Because, spoiler alert, the answer, I mean, it's not much of a spoiler alert. It's in the title. Okay? Well, actually, no. Wait. Did he change the title? Or was that just the cover? Hold on. Let me see. The cover text is different from the title. No, wait. Okay. Should you sell all your positions? Okay. But I'm going to give you the spoiler alert anymore. The answer is no. Okay. So are we going to come to the conclusion that the same thing that he was maybe does he have CD? Does he have cognitive dissonance? Is he trying to come up with an excuse for not caring about the children that he's not saving? Oh, one thing that very important for some of you who are kind of slow, okay? Which is almost all of you. I'm just kidding. All right. Some of you might say, Armin, it's not equivalent. It's not equivalent. You actively, a child, that's not the same as you making yourself uncomfortable, or not, just a little bit uncomfortable. Like maybe instead of 24, you go like just 1 degree different temperature. That money could save a child. Okay, it can. It so easily can, right? You could be like, I mean, that is not the same as you yourself actually killing a child. This is the same thing that vegans would say, right? They say like, you eating an animal, you are actively funding the killing of that animal. It's basically the same as you going and then torturing the animal, which is equivalent to you torturing any conscious being. Okay. And it is equivalent. You guys thinking inaction and action are two different things. You not saving somebody is not the same as you causing them harm. It's technically equivalent. And here's an example for you guys to get, okay? I came up with this. By the way, I come up with genius examples, and people steal my examples without giving credit to me. You know who stole my example? Who's that girl? Shit. Who's that girl? Who's that right-wing commentator girl on YouTube? Give me a name. Half American, half Chinese. She stole my example. This is an example that I came up with that I was giving it since like college years. I came up with it, and I've been spreading it around on the internet, and she stole it from me. So I'm going to give you another example. You better give me credit for it. I saw her in her latest videos. I'm like, that's what? She's using my example. It was my example. Who am I talking about? Yes, Lauren Chen. Lauren Chen used the analogy, the genius analogy that I came up with. She used it in her latest videos. And I can tell you, nobody had used that analogy before me. And she stole it. I mean, maybe somebody else stole it and eventually got to her. I don't know. It got into the internet. The correlation and causation analogy with the ice cream and the swimming. That was my invention, I'm telling you. I'm going to make an entire video about me ranting about how my analogy was stolen. I hope somebody could go find the first time I mentioned it on a stream somewhere. God damn it. Anyways, yes, Lauren Chen. Lauren Chen stored my analogy. Anyways, yes. See, somebody is actually giving credit. So I have been giving this analogy as well to make this clear. So if you see this anywhere used, you guys come here and you call them out and you tell me, okay? My analogy is, imagine two people tied to a machine, killing machines, okay? One of them has a button. If you press it, the person tied to the machine dies. The machine kills the person, okay? The second machine, okay, has a timer on it. And it's going from 10 to 0. And if once it hits 0, the machine kills the person that is tied to that machine. But if you press the button before it goes to 0, then the machine will stop, okay? So in the first scenario, if you press the button, great job, you're a murderer, you killed somebody. In the second scenario, if you don't do anything, the person will die. But you're sitting there, the button is right in front of you. All you have to do is go boop, and the person lives. If you just look at the button, it goes 10, 9, 8, and it goes all the way to 3, 2, and you're just looking at the button, 3, 2, 1, 0. And then the person go chop, and the person dies. Is this different? Is you not hitting that button not murder? Is it morally, all you had to do was go boop, and the person would have lived? Did you not, by not pressing the button, did you just not commit the moral equivalent of what you would have done in the first scenario by pressing the button? Are these two not morally the same? Scenario number 1, you press the button. Scenario number 2, you just look at the button and it goes to 0 and you don't do anything. Did you just not do the exact same thing? So don't tell me that you doing something is morally different from and causing harm. It's different from you not doing something and causing harm. They're morally equivalent. Because you can do something doesn't mean you can do. It's not reason for not acting and don't. Yeah, I agree, Lee, but that's I agree for a different reason. I agree for the reasons that is going to be explained to you right here in this video. Okay, so let's jump into it. Okay.
This is not a video about minimalism. I'm not turning into Matt Diavella or anything. It's also not a video about making money. It's not even a video about saving money. It's a video about spending money. but doing it better. And I don't mean better like in a way that will just improve your own life or in terms of investing or planning for retirement. I mean better as in morally better. Better for other people, including those you don't know. I want to discuss the idea that the question, how should I spend my money, is not just a question of taste or comfort or which color iPhone I prefer. It's an ethical question, the answer to which should radically change the way that we handle our finances. Here's something to get you thinking. Imagine you're
Hey,
on a
where'd the
walk
money go?
alone in the...
Where did the money go? Look at this. This is not good. He's holding some money in his hand. He turns around. This is not, he forgot. There should have been a transition.
It's an ethical question, the answer to which should radically change the way that we handle our finances. Here's something to get you thinking.
He turns around. Ah! There's no money. He actually did the acting to make it seem like it was the same scene. Like, look, he like before he transitions, he does do the turnaround to make it seem like this is the same scene
that we handle our finances.
Look,
here's something to get you thinking.
Look, he did the turn, so he was trying to make it seem like this is the same him, like at the same time, but the money's gone.
Imagine you're on a walk.
Oh my God. Okay, let me address this. A random guy saying, if you care too much about others, you won't even have time to earn money though. Okay, a random guy, I don't know, you guys need to think a little bit harder, okay? The calculation would be, how could I effectively calculate everything so that I'm also working hard enough to make money to reduce as much misery as possible? Okay, so for example, if you're like, oh, let me get rid of everything so I could donate it to charity. But then you think, well, if I get rid of my laptop, then I can't work. If I can't work, then I can't help anybody. So I'm going to keep my laptop. That would be part of the calculation, a random guy.
Alone in the middle of the day, and you pass by a small body of water.
It's so amazing that a lot of you think that I can read every single comment. Like, please read my comment. Like, okay, then we will never be able to finish this video.
You begin to hear thrashing and screaming.
Okay, this guys, this is the see. I don't. If I use someone else's analogy, I give them credit. Yeah, okay. If I don't remember who to give credit to, I say like, this is not mine. I don't remember who to give credit to, but this is not my analogy, okay? This is the most famous analogy used for you guys who don't get this, okay?
Imagine you're on a walk alone in the middle of the day and you pass by a small body of water. You begin to hear thrashing and screaming, and you realize that the sound is coming from a drowning child just a few meters from where you're stood. Luckily, the water is pretty shallow, and it'll be really easy for you to wade in and save the child. But you'll ruin your shoes and your trousers. You'll get them all muddy and you'll have to replace them. Your shoes cost maybe $100, so you decide not to wade in and not to save the child. You let them die because you want to save your money. But hold on, isn't that just the most evil thing you've ever heard? A person refusing to save this child's life because they want to save $100 to spend on their shoes? This would be morally outrageous. We'd consider it an ethical crime to refuse to save a child from drowning to save a little bit of money. Of course, $100 is a lot of money for a lot of people, but for someone willing to spend it on trendy shoes, it can't be life or death. Yet, isn't this exactly what we do every time we refuse to give money to charity because we want to spend it on shoes or a new phone or a fancy dinner? Consider a similar scenario. A child is dying, not from drowning in front of you, but from malaria, starvation, or diarrhea on the other side of the globe. If you receive an appeal from a charity saying you can save this child's life if you'll only donate some money, and you refuse so that you can spend it on other things that you don't really need, isn't this just the same as walking past the drowning child and pretending not to see them?
It's completely equivalent. It's the same. If you deny that this is different, then I don't know what how could you argue that this is different? How could you argue? And if you guys saying that you don't, well, not everybody has to do everything they can, then you should apply the same standards to the person with the shoes next to the lake that it refuses to save the child because his shoe would get muddy. Just be consistent, right? You could be consistent. I mean, technically, you don't have to be consistent, and I have my own reasons for that, and I could tell you, right? But logically, if you are fully okay, if you take emotions out of it, which you shouldn't, but if you did, they are morally equivalent. Okay, so you're like, Armin, do you think like I should not buy shoes ever and donate it all to charity? Okay, not just buy the minimum requirement shoe. Like, is that like? Yeah, I mean, no, you don't have to. But how that is, you have to agree that is ethically the same as not jumping into the lake to save the child because your shoe will get ruined. It's ethically the same thing. Unless I will talk to you, I will let you know why it's not in some ways, okay?
This is the challenge raised by Peter Singer in his famous essay, Famine, Affluence, and Morality, and later in his book, The Life You Can Save. I'd recommend both if you're interested in challenging yourself. After reading the second of these for the first time, I remember going on a walk and seriously considering selling most of my non-essential possessions and giving the money to charity. Singer's
Oh my God, you guys really don't get his point, eh?
argument is an amazingly simple one. If it is in our power to prevent something bad from happening, without thereby sacrificing anything of comparable moral importance, we ought, morally, to do it. Now, this principle seems obvious when applied to the drowning child. We can prevent something bad, the child drowning, by sacrificing nothing of comparable moral importance. Our shoes and our trousers are nowhere near as valuable as a child's life, so we ought to do it. But this principle doesn't specify who the bad thing is happening to or where they are in the world. It just says that if we can prevent it, we should. And so if someone is dying of malaria on the other side of the world, and we can take the money we were going to spend buying a new necklace or eating at a restaurant, and instead donate it to the Against Malaria Foundation, saving that person's life, we should always do it, right? For some reason...
Okay, here's the difference in my opinion, okay? The difference is, this is what I've been saying to you guys in the many other live streams that you guys don't watch because you guys don't care about, you know, moral philosophy and stuff. You just care about how ridiculous some Hindus and some Muslims have been. But I'm impressed with you guys who are here. So thank you for actually keeping me company on this live stream. But in the other live streams, what I say is that what you have to also include in this calculation as a utilitarian, the missing part of this calculation is, I have to come up with a good name for this, your capacity to sympathize. Okay, your emotional, every person's emotional capacity to sympathize, otherwise known as fucks that can be given. How much fuck do you have to give? Do you give a fuck? How much fuck do you have to give? Okay, everybody has a different size of a bowl. Okay, mine is this big, yours might be this big, somebody else's might be this big. Okay. And we could, just like you could exercise your muscle and you could exercise your intelligence levels, you could also exercise the amount of fucks you have to give. Okay? I'm not, okay? So, yes. Wait. Okay? So, the amount of fucks you have to give, and also the things that you give a fuck about, okay? The things that you give a fuck about is emotionally tied to distance and the narratives and stories, okay? So you as a human being, no matter how many times it's pointed out to you that a child drowning in front of you is less misery and harm than 1,000 children dying somewhere else, you're not, I repeat, you're not going to be able to give more fucks about those people far away than the one that you can see visually in front of you. Just not going to happen. Just not going to happen unless you're a robot or something, unless you just think like a robot, okay? And if I tell you the story of this little girl in India that has to travel so far away from home just to go to school without shoes, I just tell you her story, show you a video, and then ask you to donate, you are more likely to donate than if I tell you that a gazillion kids are suffering from this somewhere in China. Okay? Just like, here's the statistics. Okay? You're going to more likely to donate to that one child that I just shared a story of than a billion that, people somewhere else. Okay? More likely. Okay? And what's up with that? What's up with that? Well, your brain is wired. Your brains are wired in a way that to care about people in your tribe, people next to you, it didn't make sense for a brain to be wired to have so much care on a global goddamn scale about this many people. You weren't evolved in an environment where we had the internet, we had media, we had so much information around us. It doesn't operate for that, for this kind of environment. You were meant to take care of your fellow human beings and protect them when they are suffering right next to you. Cavemen didn't have internet that they could donate to their fellow human beings across the goddamn planet, okay? That's not how we evolved. We're evolved specifically to take care of our own tribes of people, all right? That's how our brain is wired. You can't rewire that. You can't rewire that, okay? So this is why when it comes to individuals, what you encourage is for them to work with the tools they have, okay? If I have this much fucks to give, and you want to come like, hey, Armin, you have this much fucks. Let me take that, and can you give this much fucks to this? And I'm like, okay. Oh, these people need help. Oh, I can care about. Oh, I'm out of fucks. I'm out of fucks to give. I made a mess. I'm out of fucks to give. So sorry. And like you come to me like, hey, Armin, there's another person. I'm out of, but these people need help. I'm out of fucks to give. I gave it already. It's empty. Okay. Maybe I could work on it and make this bigger. But right now I've exhausted all my fucks. Okay. So if you want to not morally exhaust people to the point that their fucks bowl shrinks, okay? Because if you come and tell them like, hey, you care about this child there in front of you, well, you have to do that times a million, okay? Because there's this many children now suffering under the world. You have to care about them all the same as you did about this one right in front of you. You don't have the mental capacity to do that. There's no way. So that bowl is going to actually shrink because you know what? Because you know how you could be morally consistent? Because people are demanding for you to be morally consistent. Like you have to give the same amount of fucks about all the children around the world that are suffering than the same as this one right in front of you. You know how you can be morally consistent? By giving zero fucks to all of them. How's that for being morally consistent? Now you don't give a care about any of them. This is how veganism loses you, okay? Veganism is like, you have to care about this the same way you care about like human genocide. Or like, or else you're going to be morally inconsistent. You have to care about this. You have to care about that. You have to care about this. Oh, they're suffering here. You know what? How about I don't care about anything? Okay. How about I'm just going to not give a fuck. Okay. Because if you ask for them to care about, okay, we're getting off tangent. That's another topic. We already covered this in another stream. Okay. But what I'm saying is that part of the calculation should be not treating humans like goddamn fucking robots, okay? Humans are not like utilitarian machines that you could put in the code like, oh, here's the calculation of the misery that this is going to cause and the benefits, okay? And you do the like, okay, this is exact. So this action is allowed, this action is not allowed. You cannot do that. You have to work within the mental, the capacity they have to give a fuck. You have to work with that, okay? You have to be like, these are the limitations. These are the things they care about. There's two different forms of activism. one form of activism is to go and collect the fucks that they have over to use it as a resource towards the things that are important, right? So you go like, hey, can you donate to this? Can you raise your voice for this, right? Whatever the amount, some people have a lot, some people have a little. Can you raise your voice about this? Can you call your congressman about that? Okay, use whatever they have. Okay, that's one form of activism. Another form of activism is like, oh, can we actually increase the bowl that you have and make it so that you have more fucks to give? Okay, these are two separate forms of activism. Okay, don't mix them together, right? But what you can't do, what you shouldn't do, is to try to emotionally exhaust people that have already used up their fucks to give, so that their bowl shrinks. Okay, because now you're making them feel guilty for something that their brain is not wired to operate like. Okay, and the only way many people know how to respond to that is first to try to care about everything, and then fail miserably, and then care about nothing at all, and give up, become that. They're like, you know what? The world is fucked up. I don't give a shit. Fuck the planet. Fuck everybody. Everything is screwed up. There's nothing I could do about it. That's where you're gonna get people to. Okay, but anyways, let's say, like, the example I gave Alex in Oxford, okay, in Oxford was, imagine for example that you are an activist and you're trying to grow the size of your audience, so that you become a better activist, right? And you tell yourself, you know what? If I hit 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to buy myself a Rolex watch that I do not need, but it's a reward to myself. Let's say you're somebody that for some reason gives a crap about what kind of watch you wear, okay? I don't know why, but you care. But that's your reward, and that motivates you to go like, okay, this is motivating me. We're going to get there. And you work hard and you get focused and you get 100,000 subscribers, faster than you would have had if you didn't have that reward. And now because you're reaching a lot more people, you're doing a lot more good. Okay. So should you have forgone that Rolex watch because you could have donated money to charity? No. Okay. You understand that you as a human being operate emotionally, and people think like emotion and logical are two separate things. No, it's illogical not to use the emotional limitations that the human brain has as part of your calculation. So people think for you to be logical, you have to ignore emotions. It's the other way around. For you to be logical, as part of your utilitarian calculation, you have to factor in the emotional wiring of the human brain. Do you guys get it? I'm dropping wisdom on you guys here, and a lot of you are not even noticing it. What you have to do, this is why, okay, here's a good question, okay? Salar is saying, what if I have slaves and my brain is not wired to give it up, and I live in a country that is totally legal? Shouldn't there be a voice for them? Yes. Okay. I can tell you that most of us here, the vast majority of us here, if we were born at a time, you could come at me at this and you would be wrong. You would be dead wrong. The vast majority of us here, if we were born at the time that slavery was legal and we could afford slaves, we would be buying slaves. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what background you have. If you were in a different time, if you were born in Roman time, and you be one of the Romans, and you be rich enough, if you were more moral than other people, you would be like, I'm such a great person, I don't beat my slaves. That's what you would be like. You would be like, I don't beat my slaves. Those barbarians. Oh my God, look at this. Look at this. Look at that guy. He's beating his slaves. I beat them sometimes, only if they do something really bad. And I beat them I don't beat them like he does. Look at that guy. So don't tell me, okay? So the way you make, yeah, you guys agree, actually. That's impressive. You don't need to shout, Armin. I don't shout because I need to shout. I shout because I want to shout. Come at me. Yes, what was I saying? The way you make progress, okay, is by collecting the fucks people have to give and also encouraging them to increase the amount of fucks they have to give, okay? They're not being logically inconsistent when they care about somebody in front of them more than 1,000 people far away because they're working with the wiring of the brain. Even it's kind of like free will. No matter how much you realize that free will is an illusion, you're not going to get rid of that illusion. That illusion was going to persist. It's the same way. No matter how much you're going to understand that this child in front of you does not matter more than 1,000 child somewhere else, you're going to care about this child in front of you more. You're not going to be able to change that. So just work with the sympathy that you already have. Work with the fucks that you already have to give. Work with the fucks that you already have to give. Is, you know, because that's value. Because if you could go from a world that people are not using the fucks that they have to work with the fucks that already have, that's a lot of progress. That's already a lot of progress. Instead of like, because if I have 100 fucks and then start using them and somebody like, oh, you use them, but that's morally inconsistent, then the 98 other fucks that you have, you're gonna be like, you know what? I don't know. You're going to be discouraged from using the 98 that you already have. If you use 2 of them, even if you use them on something that is not as important as you think it is, you should be like, yay, good job as using the fucks that you have to give. I see you have another 98. Use them on whatever you want. Use them. You don't care about atheist activism. Use them on global warming. You care about animal rights, use them. It doesn't have to be on the same things that I give a fuck about. Just use them. Good on you. Use them on what you want to focus on. Supporting art is my am I going to come like, why are you focusing on art? The world is dying. No, use them. Just encourage people to use them, because most people don't even use the fucks. The world would be a better place if just more people were using the fucks on whatever they think it's important. Just encourage them to use it, okay? So when it comes to being morally consistent, logically, without emotion, that's where we focus on the goddamn government. The government, because, guys, we're not, for example, when I say due process is an important value. It's an enlightenment value that we support here, that we care about, that we think it should be the law of the land. People need to see their day in court and stuff, right? We know that's important. We know that countries that have that, societies that have that, operate better than societies that don't, with their kangaroo courts and stuff like that, right? We know that, right? But if a mother has lost her children to ISIS, I'm not going to say it because I don't know what YouTube is going to do, okay? If a mother has lost her child to ISIS and she wants these people burned alive in front of her, am I going to go tell her, excuse me, ma'am, these ISIS people, they have to see that they're in court, and they have to see a lawyer, and they have to be getting the best lawyer that the state could provide them. And even if they're proven to be guilty, then there shouldn't be a capital punishment is not okay. They should just go to jail. Am I going to say that to a mother that just lost her child to ISIS? Am I going to not see why she wants them to just be burned, roasted alive in front of her? I'm not going to judge her for thinking that. That's why these kind of expectations that I have when it comes to actually evaluating the harm, the benefit, the way to run societies, I have these expectations from governments and institutions that do these calculations, not from individual. So when it comes to animal rights, when it comes to reducing harm and misery to animals, I think instead of going around and telling people that they'd be evil for eating meat, which they are, I admit it, but I'm not going to go tell them that they're evil for eating meat. I'm evil for eating meat, and I'm going to continue being evil and continue eating meat. I think the way to reduce animal misery is to encourage the government to pass on more regulations for more better treatment. And is that going to make meat more expensive and less people be able to afford it? Yes. Isn't that what you want as if you're a vegan anyways? Okay. We're never going to be able to finish this video. A random guy. I don't know if this is a left or right thing.
These situations feel different.
Wait, I forgot to share my screen.
Right? For some reason, these situations feel different. Whilst most of us would all agree that you're obligated to save the drowning child, most people think that giving to charity is, though a good thing to do, not something that you morally have to do in the same way. It's a virtue, but not an obligation. There seems to be something compelling about the child drowning right in front of you, but why? Well, many people's first suggestion is that maybe the reason these situations are different is because the child drowning is right in front of you, whereas the person dying of malaria is much, much further away on the other side of the globe, and so shouldn't be as much of a concern for us. But since when did distance dictate our moral obligations? And this response is saying that the further away someone is from us, the less of an obligation we have to prevent their suffering. Okay, well, let's test this principle. Suppose that an innocent child is being slowly electrocuted in the back of a car. That car is driving.
What is up with these examples? I thought I was a sadist. Slowly Imagine if there was a child being slowly electrocuted in the back of the car. Oh my, wow. What a dark example. I thought, you guys thought my examples are dark, hey? This is, my God, I'm scared. I'm scared of Cosmic Skeptic now. Where did he come up with these things?
Obligation we have to prevent their suffering. Okay, well, let's test this principle. Suppose that an innocent child is being slowly electrocuted in the back of a car. That car is driving away from me, but luckily I have a wireless controller that I can use to switch off the electrical current. I should obviously press the button to save the child, but is it the case that the further away the car gets from me, the less of an obligation I have to press it?
Right.
Surely how far away the car is makes no difference to my obligation to save the child.
Yeah, this is the same example that I mentioned a couple of years ago, is that the same scenario that you have with the two people tied to the machine. People are like, oh, well, they're far away. Well, imagine you have two people tied to a machine. If you press the button, dies, first scenario. Scenario B, you have a button in front of you, but now the machine is in somewhere else, in another country than you. But if you press this button, they die. Is it not moral? Is pressing the button in the first scenario not morally equivalent to pressing the button in the second scenario? No, I don't. He's not using the worst words just because I think it's dark. It's good that he is using words to make the point. He's right.
In other words, it shouldn't matter if the child is drowning in front of me or on the other side of the world. The distance shouldn't change our moral obligations.
It shouldn't, but it does, because our brains be weird. Okay, our brains be weird. We're dealing with human beings. Okay, so again, when I'm talking about policies or institutions, I don't know, programs and how to relieve misery. Like, let's say you're a charity organization, or you're a nonprofit, or you're I don't know, governmental institution, or you're coming up with the best spending budget as a government, then these are the calculations you make. But when it comes to encouraging individuals on what to do and what kind of action to take as individuals to make the world a better place, then you have to take the wiring of their brains into calculation. You cannot expect them to care about somebody far away the same way as, guys, and I know you think, well, it's not logical. Well, when it comes to caring, it is logical to take into account the way our brain operates. It is logical to take that into account. How could it not be logical to take that into account? All right? Like, for example, guys, when it comes to, for example, everybody knows, okay, that if you eat less, you're gonna lose weight. Okay, less calorie intake means you're gonna lose weight. Okay, that's all it takes. And how many people out there want to lose weight? All right, how many people out there want to lose weight? Why is this a challenge? Just stop eating. No, we can't do that because we like food. We have to be like, okay, let's eat this. This is gonna fill your stomach. You could just be like, hey, here's a chocolate. Don't eat it. Here's a chocolate. Just don't eat it. You want to lose weight? Here's a chocolate. You don't eat it, and you eat it. Why do you eat it? Why do you eat it? You just knew that if you want to lose weight, you just put it in your mouth and you chew on it, and now you're fat. Now you're fat. How could you? Why can't you stop yourself? Why can't you stop yourself? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Just put it down. Just move on. Just throw it away. Why did you even buy it? Why can't you do that? Because sugar be tasty. Okay, you're risking your life. You're cutting down because that's why if you want to be successful, you have to come up with a plan to trick your brain. So even when it's in your own best interest, your brain is wired in a way that you fail at achieving the goals that you want for your own sake. You can't do it. So what on earth makes you think that you can ignore the emotional aspect of your brain when it comes to the well-being of others? Right? So you're like, okay, I want to lose weight. I know don't have to eat chocolate, but it seems like I can't. So what do I do? Okay, maybe if I fill myself with fruits and vegetables, and then after that, I make a dessert with egg whites and bananas and cinnamon and a little bit of salt. This is my idea, by the way. And then put a whole bunch of artificial sweetener, make it very, very sweet. I put it in the microwave for 10 minutes. I already filled myself with a lot of low-calorie dense food for my meal, and now I'm having a delicious dessert that has zero sugar, and it's so easy to make. Now, if I feel I'm so full, now I look at a chocolate bar and I don't even want to eat it, okay? So you just have to figure out, you just can't, it's not enough for you to be like, lower calories, I lose weight. It's not enough. You have to figure out how to manipulate in your brain in a way that actually makes you want to do the things that is helpful and stop doing the things that are harmful, right? You're like, oh my God, I spent 12 hours today watching Netflix. Tomorrow, I'm not going to do that. Then tomorrow comes, you watch another 12 hours of Netflix. So just knowing what's the right thing to do is apparently not enough. You have to figure out a way to manipulate the emotional side of your brain, right? There's more to it than that, than calculating the harm. So you can keep telling people that somebody far away shouldn't matter less to you than somebody next to you, but that's not how your brain operates, right? I could make it seem like those people are close to you, but I feel like those people are, so as a charity organization, instead of keep ringing the shame bell, like, you don't care about people far away from you, shame. Instead, because then you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to stop caring about the people next to me as well. So now I'm morally consistent. That's going to be your response. Instead of going shame, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it seem like those people who are far away from you, because as an organization, we got together and we know that this doesn't make sense. We care about people everywhere. Our brains are not equipped to care about everybody with every distance from us equally. That's not how our brain operates. But as an institution, this is so much like science, okay? Just like science understands the scientific method understands the flaws within the human mind and its capacity to do logic. That's why the scientific method comes with ways that is superior to individuals doing reasoning, because it adjusts. It tries to adjust for the biases. It tries to adjust with, finding correlation where correlation doesn't exist. It tries to adjust for pattern recognition where it doesn't exist. That's the scientific method. It's a methodology that is superior to one individual's way of thinking about things and coming to conclusions. In the same way, when it comes to doing ethics, we could come up with methodologies and institutions that is superior to an individual's way of looking at morality. So your institution, your charity organization could recognize that children far away are as important as children next to us. And instead of shaming people for not thinking like that, we could be like, here's this girl's story. Here's this story. Look at it. Look at this. Look at it. And you're like, oh my God, she's so cute. Oh, look at her. She's walking with her feet so long. Oh my God. Okay, okay, okay. Here's my money. Okay. I could do one story for her, one story for this, one story for that one. I could be like, I could just make you feel like, and instead of shaming you, I could be like, oh my God, look, you helped her. And look, here's a picture of her. Now she has shoes because of you. You did this. And you did this. And you look at it and you're like, oh my God, I did this. And you print it and you put it in your fridge and you feel special. You're like, this girl didn't have shoes and now she has shoes. And I did that. I did that. And you feel proud of yourself. Okay. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Okay.
In fact, it's actually easier for you to save a child on the other side of the world than to save one who is dying, say, next door, since nowadays you can do it by simply donating some money online. If Singer's principle is correct, there should be just as much of an obligation to do so. But there's a big problem with this, right? If we agree with Singer's principle that we should always prevent something bad if we can do so without sacrificing anything comparably important, then we're led to a kind of moral paralysis. Every single time you buy anything that you don't strictly need, you could spend that money on a charity providing things that disadvantaged people elsewhere in the world really do need.
Did you hear that word? Guys, that's the key word. That's the key word. My phrasing of it is moronic. Obviously, we need somebody that English is their first language to give us the key word that we needed, right? What did I come up with? I come up with something moronic. I said, your emotional capacity for sympathy. Okay, that's what I said. That's not a good name. Look at this name that he came up with. Oh, I see a super chat. I'm going to read it, but just a second. Look at this name. Look at how he's phrasing it.
Moral paralysis.
Moral paralysis. Is that what I think it is? Hold on. Let me read the super chat. Kitty's saying, you have convinced me, Armin. Here's some money. Get her some shoes. Oh my God. Am I now morally obligated to go find somebody? Okay. Am I gonna? Is this serious? Okay, Kenny. Now you giving. Now I have to go find somebody. Okay, fine. I'm gonna donate. Why couldn't you donate that to yourself? Now I have to go spend the time. Is this actually for donating to charity, Kenny? Thank you for the super chat. I don't know if you're being serious, but I have to treat it like as if serious because I don't know. But thank you for the super chat. Okay, hold on. This is, guys. This is where Alex destroys veganism. Okay, you have to pay attention. Okay, this is where it's.
Agree with Singer's principle that we should always prevent something bad if we can do so without sacrificing anything comparably.
If we agree with this principle that we should always give up on anything that we don't need for the sake of, wait, how does he phrase things so well?
Bad if we can do so without sacrificing anything comparably important, then we're led to a kind of moral paralysis.
Moral paralysis. Guys, this is it. This is what I argued. This is what I'm telling you. This is the argument against veganism right here.
Every single time you buy anything that you don't strictly need, you could spend that money on a charity providing things that disadvantaged people elsewhere in the world really do need. But how far do we take this?
How far do we take this? How far, Alex? Tell us.
Do we never eat out at a fancy restaurant? Do we never buy new clothes until our old ones are literally unwearable? Do we never buy a TV or a games console or a mobile phone? In fact, should I not sell my current phone and my shoes and all of my non-essential possessions and give the money to charity? Things like phones and shoes are obviously not as important as an innocent child's life. And so Singer's principle seems to suggest that we should never buy these things and possibly sell the ones we have.
Including that statue behind you and these books and whatever that decoration is.
Because we could better spend the money on charity for people who really need it. So here we land on the biggest objection to Singer's famous argument. Isn't this all just far too much to ask of the average person? I mean, sure, someone who did act like this...
Kenny saying, super chat, thank you so much for the super chat, €5 super chat. Again, this is the second one. Kenny saying, I was being semi-serious. I'm sure you will use the money for good. Thank you for trusting me with that, Kenny. I hope so. I hope you're right. I think you're definitely right. But thank you for trusting me with that.
selling all of their things would surely be virtuous and commendable. But can we say that we all have an obligation to live this? I mean, should I never shave my face because the cost of a razor could be spent on charity? And
guys, can you see where this is going? Are you guys, yes, veganism negated. Do you see where this is going? You see, listen to his examples and pay attention to the example that is missing here. Ali, I think you're the only one. I don't know if you're the only one who's getting this, but Ali, you're smart. You are getting exactly where I'm going with this. And you noticed it the first time you watched this video. Okay? Listen to these examples.
Because the cost.
So he's like, should I never listen to the example that is missing here?
But can we say that we all have an obligation to live like this? I mean, should I never shave my face because the cost of a razor could be spent on charity and my facial hair is never as important as a child's life? Surely this is too...
You guys notice the example that is missing here, right? So obviously your facial hair is not as important as a child's life. So should I not buy razors? He's arguing, no, you should still buy razors. You should. So whatever argument he gives, could that be applied to the difference between the importance of you satisfying your taste buds with animal flesh compared to the misery that they have to experience for you to be able to enjoy that taste? Okay? This is the example that is not being used here. Is it not being used here on purpose? I don't know. Okay? Because if he says that expecting people to not forgo any form of pleasure because there's some other more important misery somewhere out there that they could be preventing, if asking that from people, if that's too much, I don't know, we'll see what argument he's going to give to that. Then you could make the exact same argument for people enjoying meat, asking them to stop because the misery that animals are suffering from is way more important than them satisfying their taste bud. Right? We'll see.
Far. And this is known as the demandingness objection.
The demandingness objection. Thank you. This is what I've been talking about. It has a name. It has a name. I didn't know it has a name. Guys, I'm gonna tell you guys, a lot of things that I come up with independently, it seems like it's been discussed by philosophers, and I came up with them without knowing it. Okay, so I deserve a lot of credit for figuring these things out by myself, sitting here with you guys without even knowing. Like, look, it has a name. It has its own name. I didn't know this has a name. The demandingness objection. Okay.
The principle that Peter Singer presents is just too demanding for most people to abide by.
Why?
Okay, but does the fact that a moral theory is challenging for us to live by have any relevance to its truth? If something is true, the fact that it's difficult for us to accept it doesn't make it any less true. Can demandingness really ever count against the truth of a moral theory?
If he argues that it does, then veganism is destroyed.
Well, Peter Singer doesn't think so, as he told me himself.
How likely it is that people will ever comply with a moral theory is independent from the truth of the moral theory.
Hey, I said this is exactly the same room that I had my debate with Alex.
And the moral theory is true regardless of
whether anybody will ever act on it.
Yet, I have a suggestion. Perhaps the demandingness of a moral theory is part of what makes it true or false. The reason it's so obvious that we should save the drowning child is because giving up one pair of shoes isn't too demanding. It's still quite demanding in that you have to buy new shoes, but it's nowhere near demanding enough to let the child die. But as the demandingness increases, perhaps our moral obligation decreases.
As the demandingness increases, our obligation decreases. How did I say it, guys? How did I phrase that? I said, at some point, you're going to run out of fucks to give. I think I phrased it better, to be honest. I phrased it better.
For instance, if you had to give up not just your shoes, but also your expensive phone, you should probably still save the child, but perhaps it's ever so slightly less obvious.
Right. So if you jump in the lake and your shoes are ruined, people are like, just jump in the lake and save the child. What the fuck? You care about your shoes? But if you have to jump in the lake and your shoes are ruined and your phone is also ruined, you still a monster for not jumping in the lake, but maybe slightly less of a monster. I don't know. That sounds evil. But at some point, if you keep adding it, right, it's going to get to a point where people are like, well, okay, maybe you're not a monster. You're still bad, but you're not a monster. And then at some point, you're going to be like, okay, maybe you're not even bad. Okay. Like, how much of, like, if I give this much to charity, but don't give up everything to charity, at some point you will be like, okay, you already gave enough fucks. Maybe like maybe it's getting too much now. You guys get it? This is the out of fucks to give kind of argument.
And taking this further, what if you had to give up your car or your home or your life savings to save the child? Maybe you think that you would still have an obligation to do so, but it seems like the obligation is at least lessened when compared to just having to give up your shoes.
So here's the question. Is your obligation to give up tasty meat lessened if you have, based on the same argument that Alex is using, is your obligation to give up tasty meat for the sake of the animals lessened if you have already given a lot of fucks other places, right? What if you have contributed to helping against child poverty and deforestation? I don't know, like saving the oceans. I don't know, you supporting this politician that you think is going to help society. Dedicate. Maybe you just work in a charity and your entire life is spent on activism. Maybe you're just an activist in a different area. Maybe you're just doing so much. So maybe like 90% of your day is just spent on activism and you just come home and you eat a steak. Right? Has your moral obligation to forego that pleasure because some animal suffering, has your moral obligation has now been lessened because you already have given up on so much other things and have done so much other to reduce misery in other places? Oh, really? You guys agree? Isn't that what Alex is saying? Can this not be applied to veganism?
So following this, in a situation where you would have to sell literally all of your non-essential possessions to give the money to charity, we might be able to say that this is indeed too demanding to be morally obligatory. This doesn't mean that it wouldn't be a virtuous thing to do, of course, but we can't say that you have to. The philosopher Travis Timmerman wrote an essay in 2015 called "Sometimes There Is Nothing Wrong with Letting a Child Drown."
Oof. See, Qasem, you keep telling him that he's using the kind of words that he shouldn't be using because just to make a point, other moral philosophers have been doing the same thing. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with letting a child drown. That seems pretty evil until you hear his argument, okay? But guys, has anybody, I'm pretty sure somebody somewhere has done this, but do you know of anybody that is doing what I'm doing right now that is using this argument of running out of fucks to give as a way to destroy veganism, as I have done so effectively so many times? Right? Guys, this is beyond saying, I don't want to be a vegan because bacon be tasty, okay? That's not an argument. These are like, guys, most of you anti-vegans have nothing over vegans. Most vegans do better philosophy than most anti-vegans, okay? I'm the only one that I know of that has destroyed veganism so effectively with this very same argument.
Now, on the face of it, that does sound pretty grim, but Timmerman is specifically addressing this demandingness objection to the drowning child example. Timmerman writes that Peter Singer's use of the drowning child to prove that we should always be giving to charity is a disanalogy. It's not an accurate comparison. The reason for this is that when you think about Singer's argument, the implicit assumption is that drowning child is an anomalous event. That is, we're imagining a situation in which you have to save one drowning child once, not a situation in which millions of children are dying all around you and you constantly have to save them.
Just like millions of animals dying around us and you constantly have to save them.
These situations are different. And with
Yes.
something like malaria or poverty or starvation, it's more akin to this second situation. We're not talking about an isolated incident requiring one single tiny sacrifice. We're talking about a continual stream of suffering people and a never-ending opportunity to save more and more of them by sacrificing more and more of your finances.
So, guys, this is the law of diminishing returns, okay? So, if you apply this to the analogy that I had, let's say I said, you pressing a button to kill a man tied to a machine is morally equivalent to you not pressing a button and just looking at this guy to another situation where a person is tied to a machine and there's a timer going from 10 to 0 and all you have to do is to press the button to save the person and you just look at the timer go to 0 and you don't press the button and the man dies. The action that you take in the first scenario is as evil as the inaction that you do in the second scenario. They're morally equivalent. Just because one of them is inaction, it doesn't make a difference. However, now let's go and let's use this new idea. So you pressing a button will kill a person in scenario A. In scenario B, if you press the button, the person will live. But if you don't press the button, the person will die. Okay, so your moral obligation would be to press the button to save the person. All you have to do is press the button. If you don't do anything, you basically committed, whether it's not legally but morally equivalent to murder. Okay, it's morally equivalent to murder if you could press the button and save the person and you didn't. However, let's say now there's two machines. Okay, if one person is tied to a machine, the timer is going from 10 to 0. If you press it, he will not die. If you don't press it, he will die. Okay, so you press it and there's now 2. You press 2. Oh, now there's 3. Okay, you're like, it's okay, it's very easy. 1, 2, 3. I saved 3 people. Now there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now there's 10. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. I saved 10 people. All right, now I have 1,000. Oof, maybe I should take today off. I'm gonna take today off and save 1,000 people. Okay, now there's 1,000,000. Oh my God, there's 1,000,000. How many seconds? Oof, let me do a calculation. Oof, okay, now there is enough that now I have enough people tied to machines with you being able to, like, all of them. You just need to spend all your waking time pressing buttons to save people. Is this the same? When it reaches what number of buttons that you reach at, that you realize the moral obligation to press the next button is not the same as the moral obligation that you had as pressing the first button. There's a point that you reach that, I mean, even if you think you should still keep pressing buttons, you have to agree that it's not morally equivalent to the situation. Each one of these is not morally equivalent to pressing one button and saving one person. At some point, we don't think that you should give up on your life and dedicate the rest of your life into pressing buttons, right? So it's the amount of investment that you have already made that makes the moral obligations of it's not the number that matters. It's not like if you could. So here's a lot of people get confused here. Okay, let me explain this. Okay. If I have one button that saves one person and one button that saves 1,000,000 people, obviously pressing the button that saves 1,000,000 people is more important than the button that saves one person. But this is a false analogy to the real world, because to the real world, it's not one button and one button for 1,000,000 people. It's one button and then 1,000,000 buttons that you have to press for 1,000,000 people. Okay? So there's no way that you could say that when you already made some level of investment to saving people, you are as morally obligated to continue making more investment in saving people compared to somebody that hasn't even made any investment to saving people. These are not the same. All right.
With this in mind, Timmerman constructs what he thinks is a more analogous situation to poverty and world suffering. Imagine you get a phone call from the bank telling you that hackers have accessed your account and are taking $200 out of it every 5 minutes. And the only way to stop this is by going to the bank and holding your account. And due to some legal loophole, the bank doesn't have to reimburse you for your lost funds. And if your account is emptied, they're going to start seizing your possessions to make up for the debt that's being created by these hackers. Now, luckily, you only live about 5 minutes away from the bank, and so you can stop this pretty much immediately. But on your way to the bank, you see a large space filled with hundreds of shallow ponds, each of which has a child drowning in it. Suppose each child takes 5 minutes to save. You now have a pretty horrible choice. How many children will you save before going to the bank? When you go to the bank, the remaining children will die, they'll drown. But for every child you decide to save, money and eventually your possessions are being lost. And what's worse, this situation repeats every single day, and there's nothing that you or the bank can do about it. I think it's fairly obvious that you should save at least some of the children, right? Supposing you're not already living in poverty or something, to allow them to die so that you can go straight to the bank and save all your money would be a terrible thing to do. But surely it's equally true that you don't have an obligation to save all of the children. Right? This would mean you could never go to the bank and all your possessions would be seized. I think it's clear that at some point you should be allowed to stop saving this endless number of children drowning in order to prevent the bank from seizing the things that you really need, like your house and your car. But should you be allowed to save enough money for non-essential things? If this situation does repeat every single day of your life, should you be expected to spend your entire time saving children and constantly losing money and possessions only up until the point where you start losing things that you absolutely need? This would mean that for the rest of your life, you can never go to the theater or a concert, you can never buy a birthday present for someone, or go on holiday or travel or get a mobile phone or even go out for a drink, because none of these are things you strictly need. And you could only have enough money for them by allowing some of the children to die and going to the bank. But it seems unfair to expect someone to act in this way.
It seems unfair. It seems unfair. Okay, so guys, remember this. We're going to get to veganism again.
Never be able to enjoy any of the pleasantries of life.
Never enjoy. It seems unfair for... Okay, here's this is very important, okay, because we're going to use this.
Going to the bank. But it seems unfair to expect someone to act in this way and to never be able to enjoy any of the pleasantries of life.
Pleasantries of life, like the taste of meat. Am I right? What is the difference, Alex? What is the difference between, at some point, if you've already exhausted as much as fucks you could give, what is the difference between if you want to... Okay, so now you're saving children, and at some point, like, I gotta let you let's say you save 100 children, okay? You save your 100 children, and then you look at the next child and like, you're drowning, but I gotta go. My bank is gonna be empty, and I need that vacation. I need to go to the Bahamas. I saved already like 100 of you, and I see you're drowning, but I gotta go. I gotta go and save my money. My money is being taken out of my bank account. I'm so sorry, but bye. Good luck. I mean, yeah, you already dead. Sorry. Okay. Now, forget the trip to Bahamas. What about the delicious taste of meat? And it's not a child in that pond that is drowning. It's a baby cow. It's a baby. It's a cute baby cow. It's a baby cow. And that's the baby cow that is going to be, you're going to be enjoying. It's you already saved so many people and animals or whatever, but now you want to taste one of them. Okay? You want to enjoy it. What is the difference between what he's saying and people who've already given a lot of fucks to other things, and that simple pleasure that he's referring to here is the taste of meat. What's the difference? Guys, you guys are missing the point like really bad, some of you. Shouldn't these dying kids have access to these buttons that save their lives? What are you talking about? You're going to change the analogy so you don't have to answer the... Okay, never mind.
Timmerman concludes that in this weird situation, you should be allowed to go to the bank to save your money and to spend it on nice things, including sometimes things you don't strictly need. And I think this is a plausible suggestion, unless you want to lose literally all of your non-essential possessions and experiences. But crucially and obviously, this doesn't mean that you can refuse to save any of the children on the way to the bank. Sure, you don't have to save them all, you probably can't, but that doesn't mean that you don't have an obligation to save at least some of them, and probably quite a few of them. It's difficult to know exactly how...
Yeah, so you could, again, you don't, each one of these childs could represent something, a problem about the world that you want to fix. Okay, at some point you can stop. Okay, you can care about the plastic in the oceans. You can care about deforestation. You can care about, you know, donating to fighting against cancer, research against cancer. You could care about homelessness in your area. At some point, you just want to have a stake, right? What are each one of these ponds with a child drowning in it could be a symbol for one of these things that you care about. And maybe as a vegan, you are one of the ponds that you jumped into to save the child was the veganism pond. Okay? You as a vegan jumped into the veganism pond and saved that child. All right? But somebody else jumped into 5 other ponds to save the child from those ponds, but they didn't jump into the veganism pond. Why are you telling them that they have to jump in the same pond that you jumped into? Why do they have to jump in? Maybe they jumped into more ponds than you did. You think that you're morally superior to them. Like, a lot of vegans think that the jumping into the veganism pond is the pond to jump into. What if you as a vegan jumped into one vegan pond and they jumped into 10 ponds that wasn't your veganism pond? And you're like, you didn't jump into the veganism pond. We have to jump into 11 ponds. Like, but I jumped into this and this and this and this. They're like, but you didn't jump into 11. You have to do one more pond. Meanwhile, they did 1 pond, and they think that they're moral superior to you, even though you did 10 ponds and they did 1 pond. Yes, radical veganism destroyed by Alex. Exactly. Thank you, Alex.
How many you should save, and respectively, exactly how many non-essential things you should be able to buy in your life. But we can know for sure that you have to save at least some of them, and probably minimize your non-essential spending quite a bit in order to do so. This, to me, is the most appropriate analogy.
Wait, what? That's important.
That you have to save at least some of them, and probably minimize your non-essential spending quite a bit in order to do so. This, to me, is the most appropriate analogy to giving to charity. It's difficult to know exactly how much money you should give to save people from suffering and dying across the world, but we can know for sure that you need to donate at least some.
Okay, Alex has an important point. Alex is saying veganism may not be the pond, but it is one of them. I agree. That's why I congratulate vegans for jumping into that vegan pond and saving the kid. I appreciate them and I acknowledge, but I also think that they are harming, causing a lot of harm by telling people that their 10 ponds don't matter. And I mean that their pond, like it seems like for most vegan activists, they think they prefer, if you say, see, here's the thing. If you jump into the vegan pond, I'm like, Good job. You are somebody who cares. You care about misery. You want to reduce misery around the world. That's amazing. I want to reduce misery around the world as well. I do it in other ways, but you do your way. Good job. Okay, that's what I do. But to a lot of vegans, okay, if somebody says, hey, which one should I do? Should I jump into the veganism pond and save the child? Or should I jump into these 10 ponds and save the child? Okay? They like, do the vegan pond. Okay? They say, do the vegan one. Because they're so dogmatically obsessed over that being the morally superior thing to do compared to all other harm reduction methods. Okay? And even if it is superior to some other ways, I'm telling you the strategically better way to go about making people give their fucks out is to give their fucks out in things that they're passionate about rather than what is more reducing more harm. Because you're going to get more out of people. Because the alternative, most of the time, guys, the choice is between people actually showing some caring and not caring. So let them care about something that they just makes their heart skip a beat when they hear the story. Just let them go with their wherever they end up going, okay? Even if it's not the greatest harm in the goddamn planet, just encourage them to do something, okay? Anything. Apathy is killing this planet. You're going to encourage more of it if you tell people that what you care about is what they should care about. We should just tell people to just give a shit about anything.
Probably
I forgot to share. But yeah, I agree that it is one of the ponds, and I congratulate anybody that could do that.
minimize your non-essential spending in order to do so, assuming, of course, that you're someone with some level of expendable income and you're not living in poverty or something. Now, sometimes we can allow ourselves to indulge in nice things, but not so much that it prevents us from a significant amount of charitable giving in order to save lives, regardless of where they are in the world. Perhaps you might decide to give a fixed percentage of your yearly income to various charities. Perhaps you might decide every time you make a non-essential purchase to donate the same amount of money to a charity at the same time. Perhaps you might donate your time rather than your money to charitable causes. Whichever you think is the most practical,
That's me.
we should certainly be giving more than we currently are, at least on average. And whilst I think that donating literally all of our non-essential money to charity is too demanding, donating none at all is just as good as walking right past the sea of drowning children and straight into the bank, or refusing to save the single drowning child so as not to ruin your shoes. Anytime a person dies or suffers unnecessarily, it's a tragedy, especially since the remedy in so many cases is for us to simply give a little more. A link to the lifeyoucansave.org is in the description if you want help getting started with charitable giving. So, no.
I suggest my personal charity of choice that I used to donate more to when I had more money is Save the Children. Okay? But you do you. I mean, again, I suggest doing some research on the charity. And you know, but my favorite charity. Oh, another favorite charity of mine is Atheist Republic. Yeah, we're a 501c in the United States.
Don't sell all your possessions. And don't feel too bad for enjoying your life, even though there are other people suffering in the world. But don't spend too excessively, and don't refuse to give to charity at all. People's lives are at stake, so take this seriously, but do save a good amount of money for things that will make you happy, too. And since you're not going to spend all your money on charity, and you're going to keep some for yourself to spend on nice things, let me suggest one thing that you can spend it on. Internet security.
Oof! What a segue! Look at his smile. He knows. He knows we're gonna. He is looking into our eyes, knowing that we're gonna laugh. That was a good joke, good segue, and he knows it, and that's what that smile is saying.
That's right. I want to take a moment to thank ExpressVPN
Oh,
for sponsoring
that's
today's
good.
video. Your freedom to browse the internet safely and securely is
Guys,
at risk if you don't use a VPN.
I want to promote the Cosmic Skeptic. Go subscribe to him if you want to be challenged and think about, if you want to exercise those neurons a little bit, try subscribing to Cosmic Skeptic. It's a really good channel. The reason why I'm not subscribed here is not because I'm not subscribed. It's because right now I'm logged in as Jamhuriya Bi Khodayan, which is our Persian channel. I am definitely subscribed to it as Armin Navabi, but you could fix that. Subscribe as Jamhuriya Bi Khodayan and also hit the like. Guys, make sure you subscribe to this channel as well, okay? And let me know how I did. Like, guys, if I did a decent job responding to Cosmic Skeptic, that I'm not doing that bad, okay? Come on. Like, this is one of the most intelligent channels out there, right? So, and if you think I had any good counterpoints to Cosmic Skeptic, then this channel deserves a subscribe as well, right? Because it's, that's like going against the heavyweight, okay? It's going away against an intellectual heavyweight. And you think if I compare the two videos with each other, right? And I showed that why one video can counter the other video, right? He was saying that, like, we're evil, right? Because just for the sake of taste of meat, for the taste of the flesh of meat, we're like endorsing so much misery that we could just easily forego. And then in the next video, he says that at some point, the burden is too high, so that it's not morally equivalent anymore. Me putting those two arguments next to each other and showing how one of them could be used against the other. I mean, that's pretty good. I'm doing this for you guys. Has anybody else done that for you in any channel and anywhere? Has anybody made this point for you guys? This is pretty good, right? I think we're doing really good, especially against somebody like Cosmic Skeptic, right? Oh, look at this. Look at this endorsement by Vikram. Your reasoning is better than 99% of meat eaters' arguments out there. Oh, thank you, Vikram. I'll take that. That's like an A+. Yes. But if that doesn't deserve a subscribe, then screw you. And what else deserves a subscribe? Come on. Look at this sign. Wait, what? It says subscribe. Obey the sign. Obey the sign. Subscribe and hit the bell button and hit the notification. If you didn't like it, just hit the unlike. That helps as well. Hit the like button, hit the unlike button, hit the notification bell, select all so you know when we go live, so you can be part of the discussion maybe sometimes, right? Thanks for the suggestion. I wasn't subscribed to Cosmic Skeptic yet. There you go. Hey, I got Cosmic Skeptic a subscriber. That's a tongue twister. Amazing live stream, Armin. I appreciate you breaking this down and making it so clear. Thank you so much. This is what fuels me. This is what motivates me, okay? You guys saying stuff like this. Amazing. Wow, I'm going to read it one more time. Amazing live stream, Armin. I appreciate you breaking this down and making it so clear. Thank you, Shantaram. That is very sweet. I appreciate that. Yes, and subscribe. But so that means tell people, guys, you see this? Subscribe to this channel. We have some good content here, right? Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. Anyways, I'm going to guys, by the way, when I feel bad because when I hit in live stream, there's a bit of a delay. And the last comments that comes in, some of them are so sweet, and I didn't highlight them, and I didn't see them. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see that in live stream. Okay, there's a delay, okay? Sometimes I don't see your comments. Sometimes you're being so kind. Just forgive me for that, okay? Okay, if you're being sweet and you're being, encouraging, and I don't see it, and I don't highlight it, or it just happens after I ended the live stream, okay? Sometimes there's some people that did super chat and I didn't miss that right before the stream ended, okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, okay? All right, guys. Subscribe! Do it! Just do it! Just do it now! If you haven't done it already, what's wrong with you? After 2 hours of live stream, you watched it up to this point, and you still haven't subscribed, there's something seriously wrong with you if you don't subscribe at this point. Just do it! It's Hekmah! It's Dharma! Do it! Do it now!